It remains no matter how much you try to ignore, dull, or deny its existence. All of that suffering you buried, all of that memories you pushed away, and the mask you wore for the sake of your survival. No, it remains. In doing so, it eats you alive. Simply put, your life events shape you into who you are today. The past isn't something you can simply ignore. Every time you talk about it, every time you want to do something, and every time you're alone and your thoughts start to murmur again, it follows you like a rusty chain. What you hold on to tightly defines who you are. And what you're still holding on to in the dark will not be saved by any amount of affirmations. Refusing to release hold of the debris prevents you from constructing a fresh life. Keeping on won't help you get better. By shedding the falsehood, you mend. Mistakes are the real you, not you. A false belief that you are unworthy if another person is not around. The false belief that no one will ever love you as they were unable to do so. Until you bring the unconscious into awareness, it will control your life, and you will refer to it as fate, according to Carl Jung. One cannot overcome what they have not seen, and the majority of individuals fail to delve deeply enough. They consume, they divert attention, and they keep themselves so preoccupied with seeking approval, amassing followers, creating an image, and amassing trophies that the quiet will speak volumes if they pause even for a second. The truth that lies beyond that veil of quiet frightens them. However, your shadow will always follow you. If you don't want to face it, you can serve it. The ecstatic, empty high of acting free while actually being ensnared is known as syphoria. The lovely mask, your self-assured walk and polished smile conceal a secret you'd rather not reveal. Without suffering, you would have no idea who you are. It basically became second skin after all those years of wearing it. You learn to use it as a weapon, protecting yourself not with brute force, but with distancing techniques like sarcasm, perfectionism, and silence. Think of it as armor, but you call it individuality. Even if you call it independence, it's really just a cover for abandonment. Called peace, it's actually just tiredness. So your mind breaks down, your identity crumbles, and you go about your existence grinning all the while. The act of sinking. Simply put, letting go of what you're holding on to means saying goodbye to the safest version of yourself that you've ever known. However, the harsh and lovely reality is as follows. Let go of the lesser self that was necessary for your survival if you aspire to grow into a higher person. The only way to truly evolve is to lose something. The falling apart of the falsehood, the disillusionment, and the demise of the persona you constructed as a means of survival. Attitude, not the superficial encouragement found in self-help publications. The fundamental framework of your perception is what I'm referring to. The truth. Why? Because your mind acts as a filter, not a mirror. In other words, it's not accurate, and it deciphers it. And if that barrier is broken by pain, humiliation, or betrayal, then even kindness seems dangerous, and love seems manipulative. Opportunity seems to be a trap as well. Being skeptical of everything is not innate to you. You were taught to. Primitive selection meant for subsistence, not flourishing. You are not doomed to remain alive. The time has come. Even though we are in a survival season, some of you have stayed too long. You've made your jail look nice. Reside in a cell. Now we come to the tricky part. The burden of your new future is too much for your outdated perspective to bear. You will now be kept small by the same beliefs that kept you safe. Plus, I won't feel worthy until you question my internal story. Injuries seem to be a constant complaint of mine. Success will elude me. With each new identity, you'll relive the same life cycle. Faith, it has an active component. It's legally binding. In this place, not elsewhere, you construct what you believe. Why? Because beliefs have no impact on reality. It molds you. The truth isn't something you believe in. It is you. Put your faith in what you know. Furthermore, suffering will seem familiar if it has always been your reality. People ruin their own happiness for that very reason. Reason being, contentment is secondary to constancy in the mind. It would prefer a steady decline than a sudden surge in fortunes. Similar to a shipwreck, it refuses to let go of long-held ideas, even when those beliefs are the very thing that is bringing it to its knees. So, you have to wonder, what have I committed to that is now untrue? Whose words reverberate in my head like my own? And above all, am I really myself? Are you prepared to give up your past in order to embrace your future self? Because letting go isn't a passive process. It's a battle against the identity that was constructed out of fear and a lack of clarity. Most people dislike potential because they themselves lack clarity. When people feel stuck, it's usually because they're distracted, but when they're really afraid of choosing, it's because they're afraid of failing or being disappointed because they don't commit. If you want clarity, you need to clear the fog. That is, you need to sit alone long enough to remember your own voice. That is, you need to stop taking dreams from other people, your parents, your culture, or even your algorithm, and start asking the question that no one else asks. What do I want that isn't based on my pain? Because until you do, you'll end up building towers in deserts that aren't yours, succeeding in the wrong story, and wasting your power on the periphery. Get there and still be hollow inside. Truth is harsh and necessitates transparency. But most people would prefer to remain in the dark and avoid facing the reality that they've stuck with a version of themselves they've outgrown, their loyalties to pain and suffering. Now, vision isn't about looking into the future. It's about remembering your true self, before the world told you who to be, before the mask, before the silence, before the heartbreak that made you forget your name. Vision isn't fiction, it's memory. The memory of your authentic self, hidden beneath a facade. Discipline, which sounds harsh like punishment, isn't about restriction. Rather, it is about chasing after that memory whenever it appears, even if it's just a flicker, as if your very being were dependent on it. Most people fail not because they aim too high, but because they aim at nothing. They live on autopilot, reacting rather than creating, drifting rather than deciding. And when they look up, years have gone by with no real change. Don't be one of those people. On a daily basis, you must resist the need to make excuses and instead focus on being the person you promised you would be. Even when no one is looking, this is discipline. It's about breaking free from the chains of self-destruction. Despite the fact that it's difficult and your history begs you to give in, you must do it because desire is meaningless without discipline. In the face of temptation, vision with no self-control perishes. The goal of self-discipline should not be to crush yourself. This is what it means to harmonize your vitality with your being. It's the subtle but consistent work of embodying who you are becoming, of living as though that person already exists. Feeling prepared, healed, and inspired are what most people are awaiting. But being prepared is not real. The deed itself is the first step toward mending, but inspiration is a luxury that comes afterward. Therefore, cut ties with your inferior self. Your constraints are that part of you that values stability above personal development. It is going to haggle. This is going to beg. This is the only time it will inform you. Time away is what you need. Nobody else is making such an effort. But rules don't get in the way. Leadership makes the call. The difference between seekers and builders is decision. Do something. If you don't, nothing will change. And until you take action, nothing will change inside you. Nothing you do will have any effect on this world. It reacts to how you run it. You mentioned that you would like further definition. Take action. Your goal seems to be to exude self-assurance. Take action. It sounds like you're after some independence, respect, and results. Get moving like it's the last thing on your mind. Due to the fact that it does. The brain is rewired through action. It breaks the cycle of thinking too much. The spell of uncertainty has broken. An additional book is unnecessary. Another podcast isn't necessary. Getting everything in order doesn't require another month. Before you're comfortable making the call, you have to click publish despite the dangers. Establish the limits. Reschedule the space. Just because it's accurate, not because it's flawless. There is never an ideal time. Time stands still. The present moment is holy. Here is where your sense of self undergoes constant metamorphosis. Once more until movement is automatic without thought. Staying strong. You won't learn this in a classroom. You'll receive stats from them. Your obedience will be rewarded with grades. You become resilient, though, when you face challenges for which you are unprepared. When you weep so silently that not even the walls remember your name. There are many types of heartbreaks and betrayals. To be resilient is not to just recover quickly. Rebuilding in a new way is the key. The idea is to pick up the broken pieces and refuse to put them back together in the same way. That isn't overcoming it. It's like putting oneself back together with stronger foundations and more refined judgment. As someone with the ability to remain upright when faced with overwhelming odds. You can't build resilience by running away from challenges. When you face adversity head-on, you fortify yourself. Sitting with a fire, you declare, burn what must burn, but leave the truth. And the reality is, you are not delicate. There is no damage to you. Your character is maturing. You weren't intended to be destroyed by the storms. Their purpose is to reveal your true identity after all other factors are eliminated. Thank you, but the dramatic variety, as opposed to the kind where one writes 3 things in a notebook and then posts them to Instagram. Sincere appreciation, the kind that keeps you awake at night and brings tears to your eyes just because you're alive, just because you were unable to let go of a part of yourself. In a world that is addicted to comparison, gratitude is a form of revolt. I may not have all I desire just now, but I will not belittle the wonder of what I have. Beauty can be found in scars. It's like kissing a painful hand. It teaches you something. Sacrifice means honoring the part of yourself that stooped so you could stand. Being grateful does not imply giving in. It signifies that you respect the journey, particularly the difficult parts, because being thankful turns resentment into insight. And the question, why me, disappears once you grasp this. Then you wonder, what am I making myself? The ability to adjust. Your purpose was never to remain static. You were designed to adapt. Change is strength, not a flaw. Intelligence is it. Detecting danger is second nature to a fighter. As time goes on and things change, in the midst of others moaning, collapsing, or clinging to the old world, you turn, you listen, and you transform. Evolution doesn't bother to seek your approval. Your involvement is required. Life will keep intensifying the pressure until you give in or break free from an identity, structure, or relationship that your soul has outgrown. Being adaptable does not imply compromising your principles. It concerns refreshing your alignment. It's like claiming there was a reason this persona of mine existed. Still, I refuse to let my fear of the future prevent me from being true to who I was. The world is dynamic and ever-evolving. You should as well. Educating oneself. An unwilling intellect has already begun to perish, on a spiritual rather than a bodily level. Wrinkles don't mean you're getting older. When you believe you know everything there is to know, you start to age. You live your life learning, on a personal, relational, spiritual, and intellectual level as well. Gain wisdom from your guide, your blunder, and your adversary. Take a cue from a child's trusting nature. The pauses in contemplation can teach you a lot, because there is a lesson in every moment. And each lesson you choose to ignore will eventually form a habit that won't stop until you finally wake up. Additional information is not required. Asking more profound inquiries and having the guts to sit in the unknown without seeking distraction are prerequisites. In his writings, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But becoming requires unlearning, and unlearning requires humility, simplicity to acknowledge my error. I was ignorant. Presently, nevertheless, I am open to seeing. Persevere through the pain of learning. Even when it's painful, keep going because that's how you get your life back. A dawn of understanding at a time. Authentic purpose, not the kind offered in simplistic 5-step plans. Unlike the idealized image seen in magazines. True meaning is disorderly. It's aggressive because it wants your complete submission. Simply put, purpose does not materialize. You transform into it. Choosing it mentally is not an option. It picks you out by means of your injuries. From the ruins of everything you've managed to endure, it emerges. It understands your anguish. It begs you to transform something which threatened your death into something that brings you new life. Plus, it's impolite. Slacking off won't happen under its watchful eye. You will be unable to slumber as your calling is played. Until you make a change, it will pursue you. Feel free to flee from it. Comfort, convenience, and consumption are all good diversionary tactics, but purpose will remain. No amount of justification can make it last forever. Your soul has already understands the things your mind avoids thinking about. Do not come here seeking acceptance. You have come to destroy the illusion that you were destined to be ordinary. In attention, you find your purpose, where your aspirations and fears converge, where the sound of your own voice longs to be heard. This is the place where your spirit knows its purpose, with the goal of harmony rather than praise. Not to be seen, but to see clearly. Once you discover it, when it settles into your heart like an irreversible reality, everything shifts because you become a threat. Reason being, you're gorgeous, but only because you kept track of details. Furthermore, once an individual realizes their mission, they become uncontrollable. Conviction. Without seeking approval, conviction burns brightly. It is impolite when it knocks. It pops out. It will pass through you regardless of whether you're sure of it or not. It simply must. You can't just talk about your convictions. You truly exemplify it. When you enter a room, you no longer have to beg for anyone's approval to be there. By the time you finish saying you're sorry for having to, things you require. Unanimity is not necessary for conviction. It doesn't humbly request comprehension. Why? Because when you're feeling it, everyone can tell, just before you speak. But that's not the same thing. Confidence is not hubris. Confidence dies with it. When you've been broken, silenced, and stripped naked, but you choose to stand regardless, it's what rises. Not in rebellion, but honestly, the fact that no one was going to come to your rescue became clear to you at last. Perhaps that's the thing that rescued you. Absolute power. In that still, holy moment, you come to understand. Don't feel obligated to speak up. Your diminishing is to no one's credit. You should not feel guilty about enduring hardship so that you can be easily loved. And at that very second, you take control of your life. Clarity without being frigid or harsh. Reclaiming your energy is sovereignty. Understanding the distinction between candor and exposure is key. Understanding that limits are not impenetrable walls. These are rules of conduct. Saying, I know my worth. I don't need you to agree with it. There's no need to dominate others. The key is to stand up to the aspects of yourself that try to control you, that in the past wanted permission to live. This culture teaches you to put your confidence in superficial things like relationships, social media, and fleeting accolades. But sovereignty is the silent choice to take it back, to keep it inside, to carry yourself with the confidence that comes from knowing your worth is unquestionable. And once you experience that degree of independence, there's no turning back. Being beyond. Your true self was always intended to be transformed. It was always destined for you to excel. Yet, you will never be free from the things you hold on to. It is you. You can't climb while caring about your past self, your shame, the paths you've taken, and the tales that were never truly yours. Going beyond means letting go. Even though it's a form of death, the sort you should fear is liberation. The reason being that freedom awaits beyond that pain. Adding more won't get you anywhere. Giving up the person you were shaped into for survival or the baggage you were advised to bear in order to be liked is the only way to rise. Something occurs in the sacred void that follows the release but precedes the arrival. Come back to you from the past. Your inherent strength, your intuitive wisdom, and your heavenly disinterest in control illusions. When you were created to build kingdoms, you were never meant to beg. Climbing is not a picnic. There will be times when you feel completely invisible, and God knows that. In the face of seemingly endless setbacks, as the stillness taunts your endeavor. Who do you think you are? The voices will ask when they reappear, but you will persist in your ascent. I don't think it's beautiful or important because assurance, but only because it is obligatory. Reason being, the summit has some holy ground. And it's you, the authentic, genuine you, the one who has been hidden beneath layers of inadequacy and excess, as well as every wound that has taught you to remain hidden. Power is not something you achieve by chance. If you want to be powerful, you have to let go of the scripts that told you to be submissive and quiet. When you face your past life head-on and declare, "I'm done surviving. I came here to live," you gain power, the transformation. You take on the characteristics of what you cling to. So, stop being embarrassed. Forget about being guilty. Release the past personas that were carved out by those who never had the chance to see you. Release the narrative that started with terror and concluded with stillness. Refrain from playing the villain card in your own life. And if you have to hold on to anything, hold on to your progress. Stay warm by your flame. Keep being the version of yourself that refuses to back down, shrink, or wait for approval before taking action. Why? Because when you release, you soar. You come back. You keep in mind. You grin because you know that no matter how much the world tries to pull you back, you become what you refuse to let go of. So be and let go.